Welcome back to the Overt Thinking Podcast. Today is going to be a little bit different, and we're pretty excited about it. This one is going to be off the cuff, I gotta say. It's sporadic, it's interesting.
It's vulnerable.
It's vulnerable. We both learned something, so we're going to get into all of the yapping around boundaries and saying sorry and what's included in an apology. But first, we're going to play our
This or That favorite game.
I love that.
I can't believe I'm putting that out in public for literally anyone to hear.
Honestly, I know it's embarrassing for us both, but I'm here for it. So our This or That today is...
Not you saying, yeah, you are embarrassing us.
I
What is it? What is our This or That?
Are you a morning sex person or a night sex person? Or both? I mean, probably not. I mean, maybe both, but I feel like people are generally one or the other.
Preferred time. If I could have my way, happy hour window, from 4 to 6.
Okay.
So we're stepping into that hour right now. About that time is my favorite time. I feel like the workday is over, so I don't have
feel
this,
free.
I can have that slam the laptop shut moment, which means slam the legs open.
So every time you post the slams laptop shut meme, we know what you're doing. We know what you actually mean.
Okay, potentially, but that's just exactly the time where I'm like, my work stress is completely, it will be at its lowest.
You light that joint.
I light the joint, or I haven't had dinner yet. The whole dinner season hasn't started yet. It's like that little purgatory time where you're like, okay, the day is
day.
The work day is over, and now my life can kind of pick back up. And I think that time also is, there's sunset. It's a little romantic,
Yeah.
How about you?
I am a little bit opposite. I'm more of a morning person. Preferably, I'm weekends are the most free, because I think it goes back to what you were touching on, which is being done and letting go of responsibilities. When I'm in work mode Monday through Thursday, I'm only focused on getting all my shit done. I'm only focused on taking care of clients and cleaning the house and maintaining everything, that it feels like a lot. And by the end of the day, I'm exhausted. So if I have time in the morning, of course, that's my preferred time. It's before I have to start all those responsibilities. Yeah.
This could be a whole episode, stress and sex, because I feel like they're always the inverse for me. But for some people, it's actually they have sex because they're stressed, and it's a stress reliever for them.
Yeah. There's a time and place, right? Context matters, and not everything is rigid. We can be fluid with our situations.
Yeah.
This makes me think of the book Come As You Are, and I know that you've read that one too, right?
Yes, Come As You Are is a great, great book. It teaches you, it's basically the sex ed class that we should have had growing up, where it actually teaches you, oh, this person has high brakes, which means that their, willingness to have sex gets turned off quicker, versus someone who has a high accelerator, they might be able to get revved up quicker. So yeah, anyway, definitely.
We should definitely
big nod to
do a whole episode on sex in general.
But today, let's jump into our very freeform, vulnerable, and connecting podcast about boundaries, saying sorry, and we're going to give you frameworks for how to set clear boundaries well, and how to apologize well, because some of you are not very good at it.
Me. I'll take that as me. Let's go. Well, we're just gonna fucking yap, okay?
Yeah, we're gonna yap and yap today, and this may get a little bit vulnerable
and messy. It's like that Lola Young song that's I'm too messy.
Okay, there's a really good remix. I'll find it. But yeah, we were just kind of talking a little bit offline before we started this podcast, and I realized that this topic is something that I've felt so passionate about for so long, boundaries, because I am the absolute, or had proven to be the absolute worst at boundaries at various points in my life.
Working on it.
I have spent a lot of money to learn how to set boundaries. The timing of those boundaries, there's still money to be spent on that, but the quality of said boundary and how to say it, how to craft a boundary, when to know when a boundary is needed, all of those are things that I really feel passionate about teaching and educating just from like the school of hard knocks.
Yeah, from what you've learned so far. And like, we're all a work in progress. And I think we get caught up in like the need to be perfect and forget that like we can make mistakes. We can make new choices later.
I didn't really realize that some of my patterning around lack of boundaries was because I was afraid of conflict. Like saying no feels like the end of the world. If someone asks me to do something, I always want to be able to say yes because I valued so much of my self-worth on my ability to do anything, to do the thing.
Be the yes gal.
And be the yes gal, to be the one with the solution, which gets into all types of black box thinking, which we can like get into another time. But like essentially like you don't ask for help ever because you don't want to be seen as somebody who doesn't have the answer.
Yeah.
And especially in relationships when like that is what I do for a living is relationships. For me to be seen as somebody who doesn't have good boundaries, like really stresses me out. So I've started spending a lot of time and money in this exact topic. And
in therapy, you mean?
In therapy.
In what way?
Yeah, spending a lot of money. When I say that, spending a lot of money, it's like I just joke that everyone just says that therapy's so expensive, and like it's really not. Like I would spend more money on therapy than I would a massage, a facial, whatever. All of those nice to haves. Therapy is like it's tough that it's not covered by all insurances because if you have a broken arm, you're not going to go to your best friend to like fix it, right? But if I have something going on in my brain that feels really overwhelming and it's messing with the mobility of my life, I'm going to go to a professional to help me find the solution to that. And so that I don't go have that same rupture again and again and again. How many times can you break your arm before it's just like doesn't work?
Yeah.
How many times can you roll over on your own boundaries before you realize you're the problem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, probably a lot because there's people in their 50s, 60s that like my parents and our boomer generation, like hasn't done a lot of that therapy work. Like my parents don't know what boundaries are. My mom doesn't have an identity.
No.
Hopefully she's not listening to this.
Well, and even if she does, there's room for all of us to step into our identity. And we were just talking again before, I was saying the times in my life where I felt my boundaries were the worst were the times where I felt like I had no idea who I was. I was letting everyone tell me who I was, how to spend my time, things that I'm interested in. Like I literally woke up from a relationship, was like, what's my favorite color? I don't even fucking know. And so when we set boundaries, it's not because of somebody else. They're for you. So like if you ask me to hang out and I just say no, that might to someone else feel really, really scary. That feels really scary to me.
Yeah, hopefully you'd give some context. But
right.
Like,
but
no, sorry, I don't want to. Like, even if you said no, sorry, I don't want to, I'd be like, I get it. Totally.
Yeah, right.
And I think it takes like one, self-awareness and a sense of identity. Like you just said, like you have to be so confident in who you are and trust that the people around you are going to accept that to be okay with those no answers.
Right. And if you tell me no, that's not necessarily because of me, it's because you're trying to create space for you. And even if it is because of me, like you don't want to hang out with me specifically, then how great that you don't have to live in resentment, and how amazing that I don't have to live in curiosity if you actually like me.
Yeah. And I think it takes two like self-aware, confident people to like understand that like someone's boundaries aren't because of you, it's because of them. Like if you were to tell me, no, I don't want to hang out tonight, I'd be like, oh, she probably just wants to like be by herself. No big deal. Or alternatively, if I did think something was going on, I'd be like, okay, no problem. Is everything okay? Like, are we good? Like, it's okay to ask those questions, but that's part of the boundary is like seeing where it's at.
Right. And you can even name the boundary. I think, we live in a time now where, again, for better or for worse, social media is talking about these complex psychological topics. And I think that it's an important thing for people to say like, hey, I respect that boundary. I hear it. Can I also just ask, are we all right? Because I think validating someone's boundary and saying, I'm not mad that you say no, right? Maybe if Kelsie told me, no, I can't hang out, she might be wondering, oh man, is Bri going to think I'm mad at her? Is da da da. And then there comes like all this over explaining, over apologizing, rescheduling. It's like, no, I'm just not free tonight. Like, and if you really wanted to hang out with this person, you can say, you know what, let me know what you got going on this weekend. But sometimes if if someone's having an overwhelming day and they're like, hey, come hang out with me. And I just say, no, I don't want to today.
Yeah.
like walls to keep things out. So if she says no, she's not necessarily trying to keep me out in this scenario, but it's trying to let the right things in. Maybe that night she just needs Seth to come home with some flowers and a kiss in the forehead.
And a bubble bath.
And or maybe she's like, you know what? No, I don't even want anyone else. I just need solo time. And that's going to recharge me enough to hang out with you in the future.
Yeah.
And if I sit here and get so mad at Kelsie, how dare you not want to hang out with me? She must be mad at me. Da, 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 da.
And then you harbor all this resentment.
And then tomorrow when you're finally ready to hang out with me, I'm mad at you.
Yeah. And then it's this vicious cycle of two like insecure, boundaryless people just flailing about.
Yes. And I think this is exactly where language is the most important part of boundaries. Because people always feel like people will hear how you said things, not exactly what you said. But when it comes to boundaries, what you say really does matter. And word choice, I think, sets the tone for future tough conversations in the future. And it also sets the tone for creating a secure relationship between you and that person, whether it's your mailman or it's your significant other.
Yeah. And it could be the make or break to like that relationship. Like I've definitely had friendships or whatever in my life where maybe two people haven't had the best communication and there's boundaries set, and then you ultimately drift apart because it's two people not willing to have that conversation because they're afraid of conflict or confrontation or whatever. But two or multiple people that have really strong communication and self-awareness and confidence should be able to come together and bridge that.
And I think the most helpful thing for us to give anyone listening is some of like the School of Hard Knocks learnings that we've had. And there's certain scenarios where setting boundaries can be harder than others, I think. Obviously, it depends on the relationship to the person that you have and also how challenging it is for you to set that boundary yourself, right? And sometimes, and why don't we just start there? Like some of the boundaries with ourselves are the hardest ones. An example is like if you promise to stop overcommitting, but then you said yes to something again that you really didn't want to. A lot of times I'm not going to speak to myself about this, right? But this is how the narrative could go. I promised myself I'd stop overcommitting, and I'm sticking to that. I can't take this on right now. It doesn't mean that I don't want it. It just means that I need to create more space in my brain for X. And sometimes even going through that pattern can be really helpful. And so what I just like demonstrated was you're saying what the boundary is that you've already made to yourself. You're saying that you're committing to it and sticking to it. So you're putting a stamp on that. And then you're saying why. You don't have to say why, or you don't have to say, or sorry, you're not necessarily saying why. You're just saying like, not right now. It could be another time, or it doesn't have to be. So an example is like if someone says they want to hang out with you and you're like, I can't today. I'd love to check in with you next week. By giving the other person that like, hey, I'll check in with you next week, it does kind of soften that blow where there could be like an anxious, rupture that would happen.
Totally.
So saying like, no, I can't. I've, overbooked myself a lot the last couple of weeks. So I'm just going to spend some time alone this week or tonight. Would love to check in with you next week.
Yep. And it's not a big deal when that happens.
Totally. Give me an example of a boundary, maybe with family or work or relationships where you just feel like, I don't know, you just need to set a boundary around it.
Where I need to set a boundary?
Or maybe ones you have in the past.
We've talked about it. I'm a big no girl and I'm very firm in a lot of my choices. So when we have parties, I'm often the one that Irish goodbyes. And sometimes
at her own house.
At my own house. And I just like our friends like get it now. They're like, all right, Kelsey's gone. She's gone to bed. It's past 8:30. When I'm there past 8:30, people are like, wait, why are you still awake? So now it's like a thing. But generally I disappear, and that is a boundary I feel like that I've had to talk with Seth about because obviously I disappear from our party, from our responsibilities of cleaning up, entertaining and hosting, whatever. And something we've talked about is like, okay, well, I need to be the best host, and obviously like ditching out on the responsibilities isn't the best host, but I always like tell him like, okay, I'll get to these things in the morning, no problem. I'm usually up before him and I just go to bed, and now it's like, okay, he understands that this is what I need to do for me to be my best person, and he's good with that.
Yeah, and I think, a great example, I mean, you just went the ghosting route, but if, say, we were going to rewind when you and Seth first started hosting again, you're like, you know what, I need to set a boundary around the fact that maybe I'm the first half of the party host and he's the second half. Or, maybe you want to gauge, like, is it okay? Like, is it okay if I leave? And I think an example could be like, okay, I love you. I love hosting with you, but I really do start to feel my energy dwindle by 8:30. And in order to really like capitalize and pack the punch as the host that I want to, how do you feel about, or I'm going to be going to bed at 8:30 and leaving the party.
There's definitely room for improvement there. And I like that. I can definitely integrate that. And I'm not perfect, right? Like, I think my issue is that I have too firm of boundaries. I am too rigid, which often, ruffles people's feathers or maybe makes me seem more standoffish than I actually am. But, we all got things to work on.
Yeah. And conversely, I'm quite the opposite. I'm very well practiced in knowing how to set boundaries, what they sound like, when they should be there, when there hasn't been a boundary and a boundary's been crossed. However, again, like I said, the timing of my boundaries can use some work. And as somebody who's basically been in a relationship since she was 16, just like Serial Monogamist 101, when setting boundaries in relationships gets tricky when, again, you don't want to hurt someone else's feelings. You don't want to create conflict if the boat is smooth sailing right now, right? You can live on that resentment train. Or if, your relationship with this person, they've proven that they can't handle when you set clear boundaries. And that makes them anxious and anxiously attached and, sets off a cascade of things. Boundaries are always still going to be important, even in those situations.
Yeah, it darkens the whole relationship. Like, I feel like it really impacts and could be the end of or the demise of that relationship.
Yeah, actually, that is a great point. And being a remote fitness coach for 10 years now, I've been programming on, True Coach or Coach RX for 10 years. And every week it's, how many programs do I have left? How many messages do I have left? I love what I do, but when I'm in work mode, I don't want a single pin to drop because my brain will completely be distracted. Yeah. And then I feel like I've lost my rhythm. And it's like this whole narrative of I'm, not productive and da-da-da-da. So in my past relationships, I would allow myself to get frustrated when I don't set the physical boundary of putting myself in a place where I'm not going to get distracted, or saying the verbal boundary of, hey, I can't talk to you for the next hour. I'm really going to lock into my work. Can we check in about this in an hour? Or if it's like retroactively, and this is the part that I screw up, is, hey, I need to be upfront when blank happens. Like when you talk to me while I'm working, I feel like, why? You don't respect my work and my time, my time at work. And then moving forward, Z. So that's kind of like the solution going forward. Moving forward, I would love if, so I would like if you could, when you see my headphones in, not talk to me while I'm working. Or, when I have program design, I'm going to go to the coffee shop nearby. Please don't text me while I'm away. Those are some like situations where I feel like having a structure is really helpful. Like when this happens, it makes me feel like this. And moving forward, can this be our solution, our agreed upon solution? And that way a boundary doesn't feel like it's me versus you. It's us together working towards a solution to a problem that we're both going to feel the effects from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Boundaries are really hard and they're not easy. How do you think someone's boundaries or lack thereof impacts their fitness routine or health and wellness journey?
I think the first one, like when it comes to boundaries with myself, for me, that's my hardest thing, is when I know that I want to look a certain way and feel a certain way for a game or whatever. Sometimes I'll let myself still go for, the sugar in the pantry, or I will stay up an extra hour scrolling on my phone because I don't have the personal responsibility or the personal boundary that I set that felt clear enough and that felt urgent enough for me to stick to.
I feel like sleep boundaries are probably one of the hardest things for people. Like getting people to shut their screens off an hour before bed is one of the hardest things, because what else are you supposed to do before bed? I mean, there's options, but that's how it feels, right? Like maybe you're sitting with a partner or by yourself and you're just like watching Netflix or you're scrolling TikTok or whatever, like the option is read a book, go lay in bed, get sleepy in the dark. Like that's how you prime yourself for good sleep.
Get intimate in the dark. More people need to be having sex and going to bed early. Okay. I also think that the reason why sleep is a huge boundary, like lack of boundary area, is that everyone thinks that they're a different type of sleeper. They're like, oh no, I only need 5 hours. Oh no, I actually sleep better when I go to...
Yeah. No. I sleep better when I go to bed at midnight.
No, you don't, actually. You're wrong. Most times, you're wrong. But what we do know is that when the more people know about why they would make that decision, that also really helps with boundaries too. If people just tell me, sleep 8 hours, and I don't actually emotionally connect to the reason why I would sleep 8 hours, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
But the moment you tell someone, yeah, actually sleep helps with your digestion, it helps with your blood sugar regulation, it helps with your hormones. Someone who's feeling really shitty is gonna be like, you know what, I probably should fix my sleep.
Yeah. And obviously, like, no situation is perfect. I'm sure there's plenty of moms or parents out there who have young kids or babies where their sleep is interrupted. So that becomes a challenge. But this is just one example of like how an unregulated boundary can be interrupting your life.
And I think another example would be like with family. A lot of times with my clients, I'll hear boundaries need to be set or explanations need to be made around food, especially around family. We grow up and our parents teach us how to eat. They teach us how to cook or not, or they teach us, the life skills or not. And then we grow up as adults and we expect that is going to be what you do going forward. But then you get into a relationship and they have different boundaries, or you go to a different person's family and they have different boundaries. I'm going completely off topic. But I think when it comes to families, like when I go back home, especially for Christmas, my mom's like, oh my gosh, I got you this, dessert that you always have. Here you go. And what she's really trying to tell me is that she loves me and that she was thinking about me.
Yeah.
It's not that she needs me to consume these 700 calories. It's that, wow, Mom, thank you so much for remembering that thing about me.
Yeah.
This is so special. I would love that you thought about me. I can't actually eat this right now. But I really take this as a really special token and something between us that I'm going to remember for a long time.
I think that's what you're really good at, is like communicating through those things.
Especially when I mess up.
So it takes some fumbling to get it right.
Let's talk about when boundaries go wrong. Like what happens if you do fuck up and you do have to say sorry? Like what happens if you do fuck up, right? Because it's really hard to sit someone down, to stop the flow of the relationship and say, hey, I have something to talk to you about. That's hard.
Everybody hates that text.
Everybody hates it.
Hey, can we talk?
Because God forbid you don't have time to talk. What are you supposed to do? Just sit around and wait?
I feel like we're breaking up if you say we have to talk.
Absolutely.
I'm going doom immediately.
If you say, let's have a talk, and then just say in quotes, not urgent,
Great. Yep. Yeah. So a real apology isn't actually like guilt dumping, right? It's about taking accountability. And a good apology has 3 parts. And I know this is like your whole thing. So I want you to dive into this. I know this has been a lot of like you talking, but this is something that you have felt passionate about.
Yes. I could not be any more passionate about structuring communication. I grew up in a household where communication was not our strong suit. We spoke the English language, but we did not speak boundaries. And so learning that has been a new language for me, and also owning when I mess up. And one of my biggest fears is messing up and trying to out myself from this fixed mindset of, okay, if I fuck up, that means I'm a fuck up. And we're going to rewrite that. Okay, so what happens when you do fuck up, it doesn't mean that you are a fuck up, but here's how you can kind of set an apology in a way that is
appropriate and accurate. Wait, first off, we should talk about what a bad apology is. Give me an example of a bad apology.
I'm sorry you feel that way.
Oh, I hate that one. I have been guilty of that in the past, but like right after it has left my mouth, I'm like,
Right. So in that scenario, like someone's mad at you for doing something that you don't think is wrong, right? You're like,
or you feel righteous. So you're like, well, I know that I'm right, although you're not acknowledging like your part in that issue.
Mm-hmm. In anything that happens in a relationship, there are two parts. I don't care if someone kicked my dog. There is ownership somewhere, right?
Although if someone kicks my dog, I'm kicking their ass.
Yeah, I'm kicking their ass. You could probably cut that out. That was a bad example.
No, we're keeping that.
Anyway, so here is Bri's 3-part apology that is learned from, again, the School of Hard Knocks. So first things first, just acknowledge what you did wrong or acknowledge where the rupture happened. So what's an example? I asked Kelsie to hang out. She says, yes, we have a plan, and then I bail. So acknowledging, hey, Kelsie, just wanted to reach out and apologize for canceling on you. And then you kind of acknowledge why it was wrong. I know we've been looking forward to this day for a long time. We've gotten so excited about this hangout. I know our time together means a lot to you, but I apologize. I wasn't able to make it, and here's how I'll better support that going forward. So then the next part is committing to doing better next time or how the behavior will change. Hey, Kelsie, I'm so sorry for canceling on you. I've been really overcommitting myself. It's not an excuse. I know how badly this has made you feel, and I'm committed to next time when we hang out, I'm going to add you as a calendar invite add you as an invitee in my calendar invite so that we both know we're on the same page. Yeah. And if I do need to reschedule the time or reschedule the day, you will know because I will text you and I will reach out with however much advance you need. How much time in advance would you need, do you think?
Yeah, I think it sounds like you're acknowledging the feeling that the other party has experienced while also identifying the action that you, the person apologizing, is doing to take the necessary steps.
And I think a great framework here is actually the NEPA framework, NEPA, noticing, explaining, prescribing, and assessing. And this NEPA
I've never even heard of that.
Amazing. This is off the cuff, by the way.
I'm learning something.
So the NEPA framework is a framework that I've used a lot in my coaching when communicating with people about why something happens or just behaviors in general. And when we apologize, we want to use the same framework. I'm noticing that that this person is upset and that I have a part to play in it, explaining the emotion that person has because of my action. Prescribing is what's going to be different next time. So if I say, Kelsie, I'm so sorry for bailing on you today. I promise next time I'm going to add you as a calendar invitee to my thing. Okay, that's the prescription. Now the assessment is, did I do that next time? Because here's the magic piece. If I go ahead and cancel on Kelsie again after making that commitment, I would not expect her to be friends with me anymore.
Yeah, she's more likely to cut you off at that point.
Right. But if you can reassess and say, next time Kelsie and I hang out, hey, how did the calendar invite thing work for you? Do we want to keep that as a standard going forward?
I love that.
And then that's where an apology actually turns into a relationship building and a learning. And I always, always, always tell my clients, failures are not mistakes. Failures are learnings in disguise. Failures are only failures if you keep making them again and again. And you have so much power in your ability to change your habits from, one, letting somebody else in. The fact that I was setting a boundary or apologizing to Kelsie, she's already locked in on this goal with me. But when it's with yourself, if you need to give yourself an apology today or this week, I encourage you to use the same framework, because a lot of times when we get stuck in our own bullshit, it's because we didn't use this framework. We actually didn't apologize to ourselves, and we didn't make a commitment to ourselves, and we didn't reassess to make sure that commitment that we wanted to make happened again.
Yeah.
And so the more we sorry, you go ahead.
You almost need like an accountability buddy to like enforce that. It's funny how like we're so okay with wrongdoings to ourselves, but we're not okay with wrongdoings to each other necessarily. I mean, some people are, but we're more okay with doing ourselves dirty, like continuously going over our boundaries or hurting our own feelings. Mm-hmm. And we're okay with that. Mm-hmm. That shouldn't be okay.
Sometimes I think the reason why that is because we want to be perceived as a person who's got it going on. It's really, really hard to share your vulnerabilities with other people. Mm-hmm. It is way harder to share that with yourself. You will disassociate yourself out of vulnerability so fucking quick that you just having this framework and being aware of it and taking a moment right now to think about maybe a time in the last week where you really could have given yourself an apology and a commitment and a reassessment of if what's going on is working. And I think a lot of times when we pull ourselves out of our own routines and our habits and we start kind of falling into bad habits, it's because we have not prioritized the relationship that we have with ourselves over the relationships with other people.
Yeah.
And so by setting boundaries with other people and with ourselves, we can carefully curate the energy that we want in our life, whether you are in a season of craving chaos or not. And I think in different seasons, we crave different things. But at the end of the day, when you've done something wrong to yourself or others, an apology is always necessary. However, there is a difference between when you actually have fucked up and when you haven't. And I'd love to hear you talk a little bit about when apologizing is and is not necessary from a lens of like maybe your own personal experience or just some of the times where this topic has kind of fired you up a bit.
Yeah. And I think like the opposite of boundary setting is people pleasing, like we just talked about. So like when people say sorry all the time, I've definitely had friends, like mainly in my younger 20s, that like everything they did, it was sorry, 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 I don't want to interrupt. Sorry, 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 sorry. I'm like, stop. Like, if you have something to say, it's okay. Like, I will pivot, I will adapt, unless you truly have offended someone or you've done something wrong. You don't need to say sorry. If you're in someone's way when you're walking, you don't need to say sorry. You say, excuse me. You don't need to say sorry. It's the wrong word.
And also, like, if you say, oh, sorry, 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 even just saying that, my body is shrinking smaller. Yeah. Like I'm making myself smaller to say, oh, sorry, sorry, sorry. Is that the type of human that you want to be? Is that how you want to present?
And I think it dilutes the meaning of sorry. Like I always think of like toxic relationship in our like young 20s example is like boyfriend wrongs girlfriend. Oh, sorry. And then never changes the action. Like he's not actually sorry because he's gonna or she continue the pattern of whatever wrongdoings or misgivings have been going on. Like sorry has its place, but it is diluted oftentimes.
And when you're like, sorry, sorry, I'm like, I literally don't believe you. And I actually probably won't believe a lot of the things you say now. Just from that.
It just makes you seem weak, right? Like we like strong women who have big voices. You don't need to say sorry. Save that for when you actually do something wrong.
And take up space. If I hear someone do that, sorry, 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 in the gym.
Oh my God.
And you're a woman or non-binary person.
Just say, excuse me.
Anyone, take up space in the gym, take up space in your relationships. The people who love you for you are going to stick around, especially if you are someone who takes up space. However much space you take up, that's exactly what you're supposed to have, and do not shy away from that. I think you and I both could have saved so many years of like just hurt by just being like, no, that doesn't work for me. Actually, sorry, I'll just include myself in that. I've needed a friend like Kelsie for a long time to teach me how to say no until proven yes.
What was it the other day we were talking and I was like, because we were talking about your people pleasing tendencies, and the next time you tell me yes, I'm going to say, do you really want to say yes or do you mean no? Or are you people pleasing? Do you want to say no or are you people pleasing? Silence.
She forgot to speak.
The girl was too stunned to speak.
I really love this episode. I mean, this is definitely a brand new episode, a brand new podcast, and we're new podcast hosts. We are trying to figure out the best way for us to communicate together on here. We're trying to figure out the best way to deliver the best sound to you guys.
I'll tell you, it's not on 2 microphones.
Yeah, we've been on one microphone so far. One microphone so far.
It's a process.
But mainly this was a trial for us to just hit record and go. And this is an example of us truly using very minimal notes, just going based off personal experience. You could hear how we learned some new things from each other. Any and all feedback on this podcast is so welcomed. We want to talk about topics that really do light you up and you're really passionate about learning. So please do like, subscribe, send to your friends, DM us on Instagram, DM our Instagram. We'd love to hear from you guys.
And stay tuned for the next episode, and we'll see you in the next one.
Whoop, whoop.